Does your job expose you to trauma and the trauma of others? Are you a social worker, therapist, counselor? Do you work in your community mental health center? Are you a victim services advocate, a caseworker, a first responder, a nurse? There's a long, long list of professions that expose individuals to trauma, and you're the group that I call trauma exposed professionals. And I want to talk to you today about self care and your unique path to well being. Hello and welcome to the Pause First Academy channel. I'm Kim Colgrove. Today I want to talk to you about your unique path to well-being if you are a trauma exposed professional. Now, this is something that I've realized in my most recent 7 or 8 years that I've worked exclusively with mostly first responders and veterans. That did kind of lead me, though, to working with this broader group that I call trauma exposed professionals. Really, it's anybody who has a job where, they encounter people on their worst day. So it could be disaster restoration folks. There's a long list of individuals. If you do one of these jobs, you know. But here's the thing that keeps tripping me up, even after several years of working with this group of people, is that I stand in front of these conferences and these classrooms and I talk to them about their unique path to well being, how you guys have some extra hurdles to get over compared to, kind of the average Joe person. And sometimes I'm surprised at how surprised you guys are to hear that you have a little higher mountain to climb, simply based on the fact that you have a highly stressful, high pressure job that exposes you to trauma, but a whole lot of you are not aware of how that can negatively impact your brain, your mental and emotional health, and even your home life, your relationships, and so on and so forth. So let's get into this today, especially focusing on your unique path to well being and why it's crucially important that you get focused on self care. I'm going to start by talking about some of what you might be carrying. Now, this does not pertain to every single one of you. It's kind of a blanket statement, and I know that everybody's not the same, but I will say I've worked now with thousands of people that, fall under this umbrella of trauma exposed professionals, thousands in the past 7 or 8 years. And one thing that you tend to have in common is that you give everything away. You are really big on showing up and stepping up and taking care of people, and not always so big on taking care of yourself. So, I'm going to start today by talking about some of what you might be carrying. When I work with these groups, and the more that I talk to my audience here on YouTube, I want to keep suggesting that you start doing some self reflection, right? That some introspection is going to be needed. Because if you cannot raise your own awareness about what might be going on inside of you, what you might be carrying, your mental and emotional load, if you don't raise your self awareness about that, then there's a pretty good likelihood that you'll just continue on the way you've been continuing on. And for most of you guys, that is like autopilot and whatever is my version of survival mode. And I just power on. I just push through. I cowboy up. It's just the way I'm built. It's what I've always done. And, not to be the bearer of bad news, but that's only sustainable until it's no longer sustainable. So I'm trying to encourage you to maybe just pause for a moment while we talk about this and consider self-care. And by the end of this video, I hope that I have you thinking about how you can start to integrate just a teeny little bit of self-care to begin to take care of your mental, emotional, and physical health for the long haul, because depending on where you are in your career, as I said, this is sustainable. And typically, when it becomes unsustainable, it'll kind of hit you like a ton of bricks. It usually comes out of the blue. You don't normally get to choose when your way of life becomes unsustainable. Sometimes it is a bit of a mental breakdown or an emotional breakdown. It can be something like the end of a relationship or even unfortunately health problems. So just stay with me, hang in here. I'm going to give you some suggestions at the end of the video, but don't bail out. Let's take a moment, take a deep breath, pause, and consider some of what you might be carrying. All right, I have a list here for you that you can take a look at while I go through this. So these are the things that I talk to my audiences about when I speak at conferences and teach classes. And so here's what I'd like you to consider. I'm going to start with ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. I'm not taking a deep dive into this today because I have some other videos on this, and we can get into this more in the future. But this is one thing that I try to bring this awareness to people. Primarily because if you are in one of the helping professions, if you're in one of these, what I call the trauma exposed professionals, and you're drawn to a profession that is built around fixing, saving, rescuing, helping, you're really drawn to helping other people. A lot of people are drawn to a profession like that because of childhood experiences. Unfortunately, it's a fairly high percentage of people that had rough, bumpy starts, and they want to get into a helping profession to make the world a better place, literally, or to make things better for other people. But most people who experience childhood trauma, either they just try not to think about it, or they just try and, power on, and they've never really processed it. And not that you have to dwell on it or go back. I'm not saying we're going to dwell here. I'm just saying it is a consideration because, as I said, I've worked with thousands of people, and I've seen so many aha moments. People just understanding, like, oh, that definitely is factoring in to what's going on in my adult life. So if you want to know more about this, scroll back through my videos and you'll see a video on adverse childhood experiences. And also, you can pop over to my website, pausefirst.com, my academy, online academy website, Pause First Academy, and there is an ACEs course over there if you really want to dig into it. All right, let's move on. Personal stress. I mean, who doesn't have personal stress? That's really pretty common, and it's common amongst people in all professions, right? You might also be carrying work stress. You might be dealing with chronic stress, and you also might be dealing with burnout. So, pretty much all adults are carrying some of that baggage. But here are the things that are unique to you guys: trauma, secondary trauma, vicarious trauma, and compassion fatigue. So let's start by talking about trauma. Maybe you had a traumatic childhood and you drug some of that into your adult life. Maybe you have experienced, even in adulthood, traumas of your own that you've had to deal with that negatively impacted you mentally and emotionally and really affected your life. And you're carrying those traumas on top of the secondary trauma, which means being exposed to and impacted by the trauma of others. And that is what is especially unique to you guys. So, whether you are a social worker that works with children or families, or you're a therapist, a counselor who sits all day, every day and listens to people's worst problems, or you're a first responder that encounters a lot of emergencies and disasters and even death, or you're a victim service advocate that just sees and hears the worst of the worst, and you just give everything to support victims of crimes. That's what secondary trauma is. These aren't not necessarily your traumas. This is not necessarily what you have gone through or what you're going through in life, but you see it, you hear it, you're supporting other people, secondary trauma being exposed to and impacted by the trauma of others. And vicarious trauma is similar to secondary trauma. But vicarious trauma is being exposed to and impacted by the trauma of others over a prolonged period of time. So we could say, like, over the course of a career or several years. And vicarious trauma actually changes a person's worldview. Ugh, it makes me so sad to think about that. So maybe you started off life and you were just like a positive, shiny little person, and then you got into this work for all the best possible reasons. And after years of seeing and hearing and being around just some of the heaviest, saddest, most frustrating, most aggravating um, problems and issues and struggles that other people go through, after years of that, that exposure to trauma has changed you. It's made you feel like the world is like a dark, heavy, negative place, vicarious trauma. And then lastly, a lot of you in these helping professions struggle with compassion fatigue. So again, you started off the career for all the right reasons, and you were probably really fired up in the beginning and full of compassion. But after years and years of giving everything, taking care of other people, helping other people, standing up, showing up, stepping up for other people, you are experiencing compassion fatigue. And that is just like, I am so tired of caring. I'm so worn down from drumming up all of this compassion. There is a cost to caring this much about humanity and stepping into a profession that's all about helping and fixing and saving and supporting others. So that's just some of what you might be carrying. And for a lot of you, I kind of know by now how you're built. And so you probably don't think about this very much because you tend to be kind of a selfless person, right? You're just kind of built like that. That might be like who you are at home, in your friend group, in your neighborhood and at work. And if you are built like that, and this is resonating with you, then I want to talk to you for a minute about altruism. So, altruism is about selfless giving, and it really takes altruism to get into a lot of these professions that I've been talking about. There are some benefits to altruism for sure, but there are also some risks. So, let's take a look at that. All right, some of the benefits of altruism. Uh, it releases endorphins, makes you feel good. It's those feel good chemicals. It produces that feeling of satisfaction when you're doing good work or helping other people. It can provide a sense of purpose and meaning, and all of that can boost your well being. And that is fantastic. And oftentimes, that's how people feel in the beginning of their career or for the first several years. But now let's speak briefly about the risks. Now, I'm not going to tell you to go abandon your job, and stop caring about people, but I am going to suggest maybe that you bring a little balance to things. So let's talk about some of the risks. Altruism can be depleting and can increase your stress. It can absolutely cause burnout and compassion fatigue. Caring too much or giving too much to everyone else can lead to self-care avoidance, which is extremely common and why I'm here talking to you today. And it can also be a distraction from your own problems. So, unfortunately, I do meet a lot of people, and I know this is somewhat common. People that just stay busy, busy, busy. So, you have a job where you're giving or taking care of people or servicing people, supporting people, whatever that is. And then when you're not working, you do that at home and you do it in your neighborhood and you volunteer for things and you stay busy and you go, 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 and you're always doing something. But also staying busy in that way and having so many responsibilities and always taking care of other people, that can really be an excuse to avoid your own self-care. So maybe just take a moment here, a little self-reflection, and think about, do you do that a little bit? Is that Is that part of your makeup as well? Okay, deep breath. Here it comes. This is what I really want to talk to you about today. Self-care is not optional for you. You cannot expect to go through an entire career giving it all away, working hard, taking care of other people, and not taking care of yourself. It is so important that you get focused on self-care. And I want you to think about your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, your relationships, your home life, your social life, all of the components of your life that are meaningful to you, and figuring out a way that you can start to bring a little more balance to all that. And it doesn't matter where you are or how bad things have gotten or how far gone your self-care practices are, if they were ever in place, it doesn't matter because you can always start right now. And here is the down and dirty, real and true reason why this is so crucially important. And I say this to almost every class I teach and almost every audience I speak to because I think it's really important for people across these professions to realize this now, wherever you are in the trajectory of your career. You need to understand when you leave this job, the job goes on the next day as if you never existed. Now I'm going to pause here. Take a breath and take this in. I'm going to say it one more time. When you leave this job, the job goes on the next day as if you never existed. Now, I'm not telling you start slacking off at work and don't do a good job anymore. I'm just pointing out to you that we give so much away to our careers, and oftentimes at the expense of our own health, our own home life, and our own relationships. That is all too common, primarily because we were trained into it. In this society, we were trained into it, right? You go to school, you get your career, you go to work, you go, you give, you work overtime, you give so much at work that oftentimes you're just depleted and you don't have much more to give to your primary relationships, to your loved ones, to your friends, to your children, to your home life. And so take a moment here, even pause the video for a second if you need to, and think about this statement that I just made. I have met way too many people who didn't realize this until they retired, and it hit them like a ton of bricks. So even if you're going to retire in 6 months or a year, it's not too late for you to stop and consider this and start to make a plan for retirement so that this won't hit you like a ton of bricks. If you're only on a year or two, same thing. Don't think, oh, that's so far down the road, I'll worry about that later. The time to think about it is now. Not worry about it, but just to realize, okay, I've got to find a way to give to my profession, do a good job, show up for people, do what I'm built to do, but also take care of myself and my relationships and my home life. And right now, if you feel way out of balance with these things, it's okay. It's okay. Most people do feel way out of balance with these things, but at least you're thinking about it today, right? At least we're talking about it, and there are things you can do. And it doesn't take a big investment of time. It doesn't take much effort at all. Just small little changes can make a really big difference. All right, so what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about some self-assessment, just a little self-reflection, so you start to think about how am I doing. I'm talking about you paying attention to and being honest with yourself about your mental, emotional, and physical health. How you doing? How you feeling? And being honest with yourself about any, addictions or really bad habits that you're repeating that are not serving you, that maybe you've known for a long time, you kind of needed to bring some balance to, maybe start to kind of face those. I'm asking you to take a look at your home life, your personal life, your social life, your relationships, your friendships, all of that, and just kind of take an assessment. Am I happy? Is this good? Do I have meaningful relationships? How's all that going? That's it. Just to take stock, kind of take stock, and then identify the areas where you'd love to be a little happier, have a little more joy, bring a little more balance to it, whatever that is. Identify those areas and then apply a little time, a little effort, a little self-care. And I'm telling you, small changes can make big differences. I have a ton more information for you. I can help you with a lot of this. I can offer a lot of resources and help get you pointed in the right way. What I'm going to recommend is self-care. Figure out what self-care will work for you, what it means to you, and what will work for you. Thinking about internal and external resources that can help you increase your resilience and build your self-care, things like that. And I have endless ideas about how you can do that. But first, you've got to take an assessment, and then you kind of got to make a plan. Okay, hang in there now. I'm going to give you some suggestions and ideas, but here's what I want to leave you with. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed or frustrated because, maybe you're 30 years into your career and you're getting ready to retire and you're just now realizing that you haven't, been keeping up with the self-care or whatever it might be, hang in there. I'll give you some ideas, but I want to leave you with this thought. Absolutely. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. I know you've heard this before. And if you had, you'd have a big, beautiful tree, right? What's the second best time to plant a tree? Right now, today. So no matter where you are in the self-care and well-being trajectory, you can start today, make some small changes, and experience some really big improvements that can improve your well-being and really change and improve your whole life. Okay, I'm working on a course, a big, like it's going to be my signature course that I'll let you know. I'm kind of just getting started, but I'll let you know when I get a little farther along on that. And I'm really going to line this out for people. I'm just going to create this kind of like A to Z, steps 1 to 10, how to get started on a well-being track and the steps to take. But in the meantime, and on your own, and without a huge investment in time and with no investment in money, here are some things you can do. Take that self-assessment that I suggested. I have a couple of ways you can do that. If you want to go back and scroll through my videos here on YouTube, they're all free. You can do this on your own in your own time. Maybe go back and look at my video. It's called How Stressed Are You? And then there is a stress assessment test you can take. In fact, you can go over to my website, pausefirst.com, and download. It's a free downloadable and printable stress assessment. It's just 10 simple questions that you answer and then you score it. And that gives you a baseline score of how stressed you're feeling at this point in your life. That's a great place to start, just to, be honest with yourself instead of, like I said, just carrying on autopilot and survival mode. So you can do that by just, starting to take a look at your stress levels. And then if you want to consider adverse childhood experiences, that's a huge component for some people. And often it's just helpful for people to understand how your childhood trauma impacted you and how you might have unconsciously or unknowingly drug some of that trauma into your adult life and how that can sort of impact and inform some of your decisions and your behaviors. It's just sometimes empowering to understand that. And if it is something that's kind of heavy or something you feel like you need help with, then I definitely would suggest you try some counseling or therapy or something. But oftentimes it's just an eye-opener and helpful to understand that as we do this self-exploration and take a look at how we're doing. I definitely hope you'll start considering your stress level, your mental health, anxiety, depression, sleep problems, any of that you might be dealing with, and maybe start to adopt some very simple practices that can help you manage your own stress. So I'm going to suggest learning about breathing techniques, which you can do anytime, any place in just like a minute or two. Learning about breathing exercises, learning how they settle and calm your nervous system and how that can begin to balance and help you manage your stress and reduce your stress levels. There's a physiological improvement when you use breathing exercises. So I would encourage you to look into that. And again, you can go scroll through my videos or go over to my playlists. This is a way you can get started without you don't have to hire somebody. You don't need a guru. You don't need an influencer. You don't need a teacher. You don't have to join a class or a membership. This is just a way you can start exploring some of these topics. So I have a mini course here on breathing, and so maybe you could just maybe start there. I also am gonna suggest that you consider meditation if it's something you've never tried. I've been practicing meditation for oh gosh, almost it'll be 49 years. I'm going to be 59 in just oh gosh, just over a month. I'm going to be 59. And I was trained in meditation when I was 10 years old. And I've been teaching meditation professionally since the early 2000s, really full time since 2011. And it's an evidence-based practice I really, really believe in. And I think kind of my specialty is teaching beginners and skeptics and teaching meditation in a very mainstream, kind of straightforward way. So I would encourage you to consider meditation. Again, I have a meditation mini course here on YouTube that's brief and doesn't cost you any money. And I have a free meditation course over on my website if you want to go over and try that. I suppose if you're watching this far in the future, I might not still have that same course for free, but I'll always have something free over there. So you could go try that. It's called Demystifying Meditation and Mindfulness. It's free. All you have to do is sign up and you get it for 90 days without spending a dime. So that might be a way you can explore meditation. I also would encourage you to just explore and understand what mindfulness is and how mindful practices can help you manage your stress as well. And again, I have a mini course here. Okay, you don't have to, it's short and not a huge investment in time, won't cost you any money. So there are some suggestions just to kind of get started addressing your stress, learning to kind of manage your nervous system and manage your stress. And then once you get going with this and you're interested in taking a deeper dive, who knows where this might lead you? Who knows what doors this might open up for you just getting focused on self-care. If you do something little and you have some small improvements and you start to feel a little bit better, then you can start making a list of the areas in your life that you want to improve. Maybe it's your diet. Maybe you want to start exercising again. Maybe it's working on some of your relationships. Whatever it is in your life, just simply facing these things, maybe jotting them down, starting to journal or keeping a list, or just deciding what areas of your life need a little more love and attention and balance. Oh man, you can make some amazingly big and life-changing improvements by just getting focused in this direction. I hope I've given you some things to think about today. I hope that you'll get focused even just a little bit, like I'm talking about 5 minutes a day, something like that, on some self-care. And if you need more ideas or you're looking for resources, you're always welcome to send me an email. Reach out to me and tell me what you're looking for, what you need. I've been doing this work for a very long time. So chances are I can recommend an app or a podcast or a book or some kind of a resource to get you pointed in the right direction and help you along this path. All right. I think that's all I have for you today. And before we go, if you are curious about this topic, interested in this topic, if I've piqued your curiosity today, I'd love for you to drop in the comments What are your issues? What are your problems? What do you need help with? What kind of resources would benefit you? Do you struggle with anxiety? Do you struggle with sleep problems? Are you struggling with depression? Is it relationships? Is it weight? Is it diet? Is it stress? Is it all of it? If you can drop it into the comments and let me know. And the reason I want to know that is, one, I'll be happy to chat with you in the comments, and if you need any resources or any help around that, I'll do my best to help you. But also, that will help me know what videos to create in the future and what kind of content people want. That would be very, very helpful for me. And then maybe also helpful for you down the road because I'll make some videos based on the feedback if I get any. Okay, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for being here. I do invite you to go over and check out Pause First Academy. I've got a free members community over there. I'd love for you to sign up for my newsletter, and you can do that over there. And I have that free meditation and mindfulness course that I mentioned. It's pausefirst.com. You're welcome to go check out everything I have over there for free. And I appreciate you so much. Thanks for being here, and I will see you next time.